Thank you. So, welcome everyone to this webinar on the European Day of Sustainable Communities, and we also call with an acronym EDSC. And before going deeper into this webinar, we wanted to take a moment to focus on the topic of community-led initiatives. As you probably know, ECOLISE, so our organization, actually stands for European Network of Community-Led Initiatives on Climate Change and Sustainability. So the work of community-led initiative is really at the core of what we do, and also at the core of the European Day of Sustainable Communities campaign. So just briefly, community-led initiatives are self-organized initiatives or a group of people coming together and sharing core values around environmental goals and social goals. And usually they're also based within the same place. So they are place-based and really rooted into their local communities. And we have several examples of community-led initiatives. They include transition movements, permaculture projects, most of them are listed here, you can see them, eco-villages, energy communities, or permaculture projects, and local sharing economies. And usually these initiatives don't only focus on environmental and climate impact, but they also share ethical values, and they envision a more like a just and fairer future. And they share values such as cooperation, diversity, inclusion, gender equality, and resilience and justice. So they really are the boost and the core actors to achieve a just transition. And this is why we really want to have community-led initiatives at the center of our work and of our campaign. And this is actually why in 2024, we started this long-term strategic initiative called Regenerative Communities Fund, with the aim of catalyze local community-led initiatives already existing and active on the European soil. And we particularly target organizations working on regeneration, climate action, and just transition, but at the interaction with community empowerment, diversity, gender transformative actions, youth empowerment, and disability inclusion. Because again, the overall goal is that of achieving a just transition across Europe. And how do we do that? We support local citizen engagement through funding, capacity building, and the networking, so collaboration opportunities. And the idea behind the Regenerative Communities Fund is the one that community-led initiatives are part of the solution of the systemic problems that we face on the global scale. But at the same time, they face important barriers, such as the lack of funding, and they need technical support, usually to access that funding. And these barriers are particularly highlighted with marginalized communities. So we really want to reach those marginalized communities and provide funding, capacity building, and networking opportunities so that they can thrive with the work that they already do. And to do so, we have built an ecosystem across Europe, and particularly across Croatia, Finland, France, Portugal, and Spain, of different organizations. And we have 5 national hubs spread into these 5 countries, and then demonstrators and pathfinder communities. And we built this beautiful ecosystem. That's how we call it. And this first phase of the Regenerative Communities Fund is currently implemented through a project called Funding Fairer Futures. And this project is actually wider. It includes 5 partners, as you can see here: CAN Europe, Generation Climate Europe, WECF International, CBM, and ECOLISE. And this project is a 4-year project from 2024 to 2028. It's co-funded by the European Commission under the DEAR program. And the goals are similar to what I've just explained for the Regenerative Communities Fund, indeed, as the Funding Fairer Futures aims to provide financial and capacity building support to civil society organizations, but also to small informal community groups. And this project has a focus on awareness raising, campaigning, and advocacy, because it's part of the DEAR program, which has these core deliveries, and citizen engagement for climate justice. As I mentioned, this project promotes and really focuses on inclusivity and gender transformative actions. And the goal is that of achieving a just transition across Europe, ensuring that we have diverse perspectives of the different stakeholders heard at the European level. And this includes also the marginalized communities, which are usually difficult to be included in such processes. And we have linked here all the websites of our partners, because across this year, so over the 4 years, we have different call for proposals. At ECOLISE, we have just closed our last call within the Funding for Futures project. And so we had our first one selecting the 5 hubs, as I mentioned, the second one selecting the 15 demonstrators. And then we already have 50 pathfinders with us. And over the summer, we will select 50 more pathfinders who will join this beautiful Regenerative Communities Fund ecosystem. And I've made this introduction because the European Day of Sustainable Communities campaign this year and last year is part of the Regenerative Communities Fund and Funding for Futures project. And I'll hand it over now to my colleague Maria, who will deep dive into the EDSC for this year.
Thank you very much, Chiara. So yeah, indeed, Funding for Futures is, or the European Day of Sustainable Communities is also integrated in the project. It makes a lot of sense because it's all about showcasing communities in the ground. And this campaign has looked different ways throughout time. But since we've been working at the Funding for Futures project, we've really worked on these policy dialogues that Katarina will discuss, like talk in depth later. But about the European Day of Sustainable Communities, it is a campaign that tries to foster a Europe where these communities lead the transition towards more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive societies. Really, the idea is to increase citizen engagement in community-led initiatives, so to have this accessibility for the citizens to engage with their communities in their neighborhoods, and to strengthen the European network of sustainable communities. So we hope that this is an opportunity for you to get more visible as well, and to be open for citizens to get to know you. Also, we wanted to say that in line with the Funding for Futures commitment to inclusion and equity, the EDSC is applying a gender mainstreaming approach. So gender mainstreaming basically means that we are systematically considering the different needs, experiences, opportunities, and impacts of people of different genders throughout the design and implementation of the campaign, and also through evaluation. We will also be sharing a survey at the end of the webinar today. So really, for example, when we are telling the stories, making sure that this perspective is taken into account also on the way we are representing diverse genders, ages, trying to avoid stereotypical roles, and promoting inclusive participation. So I'll hand it over to Kat for more of the advocacy part of the EDSC, which is huge. So yeah.
So I guess most of you here joining us today are already engaged in the European Day of Sustainable Communities and Planning and Policy Dialogue. So this is what we'll be talking about. As you know, it will take place between the 21st and the 27th of September. And then we will have different levels of dialogues and 10 overarching topics. And we have framed this year with a connection to the new European Bauhaus, but this is not something that needs to be addressed at the policy dialogues themselves. It will be something that will be addressed in November as part of the policy event that we're planning. So if we can move to the next slide, Chiara. So this information is just an introduction. You will receive everything in a toolkit afterwards, but this is just to introduce you to how to plan a policy dialogue and to get a feedback from you. If there's anything that you need in addition to this. And yeah, so the first we'll talk about framing the argument, finding the policy stakeholders you're going to invite, picking a format for the event that you're organizing, identifying your audience. So beyond the stakeholders that you will be inviting, you're also going to have an audience. That could be one person, it could be 50 people. It's up to you. And then there is a follow-up. So moving on to the next slide, we're going to start with framing your argument. So a very important part of a policy dialogue is to actually have a thing that's very clear to say. And you're going to have like an exercise in the toolkit. And you've already seen that we have several themes that we're talking about. Like we're talking about renewable energy, we're talking about biodiversity. We can be talking about more than one things at the same time. But the important thing is to compress it into one specific ask. Like address policy stakeholders with one specific ask that connects one or more themes, but has a very clear framing. And in order to do that, you need to ask yourself what's standing between having this ask being materialized and how this person can help you make it. So this is like the foundation of a policy dialogue. And this could be a law, this could be a directive, this could be financing, this could be different things. But the important thing is to frame it in a clear ask that then you can also follow up with. So moving on to the next slide. The second important thing is to find your stakeholders. After you've formulated your argument, so what you're asking the people that you're inviting, it's important to identify, so based on what you have identified as your ask, you need to identify who is more relevant to invite. So this doesn't mean that you need to invite the mayor of the city that you live in. This could be anyone who is close to policymaking, anyone that supports policymaking. This could be an elected official, but it doesn't have to be. The important thing is to identify who is closer to the topic that you have identified and who you have access to. So where are you going to look for that? Like most people usually are not really, some people are connected to policy stakeholders, or others are less connected to policy stakeholders. So the first thing you do is you map your own network. Maybe you know someone from the neighborhood that works in the mayor's office, for example. Maybe your partners from a project know someone, but this is the first thing you do is identify people from the network. After that, you can move on into mapping online. So you go into the websites of the parties, of the local regional government, and you see who works for what, and you see their titles and you connect them to the topic of interest. And if that is not easy, you can always use social media. Like people are vocal about what they're doing, what they're working on, either posting about it on LinkedIn or are they taking pictures and posting reels to promote their policy work. That's mostly elected officials though. And you can find them and connect to them through social media. There's no form, like you can identify them on social media and then send them an email. There's no halfway to successful reaching out to policy stakeholders. Of course, the more formal, the better. But what is important is to actually have the right person in the room. So moving on to the next slide, how do you write to them? So what do you tell them? Do they know you? If they don't know you, the most important thing is to say who you are and what you represent. You represent your initiative. You're working on a specific topic. You don't have to analyze everything about what you do, but you need to have a brief introduction to explain what it is that you're doing. And then you need to connect what you're doing to what they are doing. So they need to find, like in the first paragraph of the email that you send or a message that you send, they need to realize why the email that you're sending is important. And then explain what they can take out of it. Like policy stakeholders are really practical people. Like what can they do? Can they meet new people? Can they get a tour of your initiative to understand how soil restoration works? Can they be engaged in an action of yours? Can they raise their EU level visibility? So they need to, you need to explain what they get out of it as well. So it's very clear proposals. And moving on to the next, picking a format. So like we said, it could be just one person visiting your initiative. It doesn't have to be overly ambitious. The important thing is that you connect the topic with the people and the format. Like there's no perfect, you have your ingredients and the perfect recipe is the one that fits you. So you can decide whether it's in person or online. Usually in person is the most successful, but if you have identified a person that is very relevant and lives in like far away from you, maybe online could also work. And then you can decide whether you want an audience or you don't want an audience. And we're going to talk about the audience further on. And just to clarify that you don't have to have a big event. The right people in the right space is the most important thing. And that is also connected to the connection you have or you are looking to build with a policy stakeholder. So this might be your first meeting with a policy stakeholder. They might not know you, they might not know anything about community-led action. So it might be a bit awkward to have them in a room with many people they don't know without them knowing the framing. So that would mean that maybe it would be better to have an introduction with more like 2 or 3 people instead of a full room. If you know them very well and they already know your work and you're advancing a dialogue, then it's better, then you can have a room full of people debating about a specific topic. It's again up to you. Moving on to the next slide. After you've picked your audience, after you've picked your format, you can identify your audience. So your audience is not people who are sitting in the room and not saying anything. They could be synergies. It could be different community-led initiatives in your region. It could be other organizations, network you're trying to build. And what they represent is legitimacy. Like if you have already built a relationship with the policy stakeholder and you can bring 50 people in a room, this means that you are important and what you're trying to say is important as well. And also, starting from that room, if you have 5 to 10 to 50 people, whatever you decide, you have to evaluate if this means that the next day you can campaign. So anything you're trying to do and anywhere you're trying to get, if you can work on these synergies you've already built to go somewhere together with the people you had in the room. So your audience doesn't have to be 50 people. One person who is committed is more important than 50 who are just listening. Everyone who could theoretically be there is not necessarily a good thing. Like people who bring things to the conversation are more important than people who are not actively contributing to it. And that's it about the audience. And moving on to the last most important thing, not the most important, but a very important thing. If they leave the room and they don't have a follow-up, then you haven't reached out. You cannot expect policy stakeholders to call you the next day. You are the ones who need to follow up with your requests. So this is on you, and this is something you have many different ways of doing it, but it's important to keep in mind that the next step is on your shoulders, let's say, in your hands, and it's as equally important as planning the event. So when you have the event planned and it takes place, and the next day you might feel tired and exhausted or everything, you have to keep in mind that it's not over yet. That's where it all begins. And I think that's that. Moving on to the next.
Kat, maybe we can ask if there's any question because there was a lot of information. So
yes, shall I finish with my part and
yes,
then ask? Okay. So what we already have, yeah. So we have already mapped different, we've already sent you a form that you filled in, and some of you have already shared that they want to plan events together. This doesn't mean one event for 2 different initiatives, but it means that 2 different events within the same week are somehow connected. So what we're going to do is connect you. I mean, you're probably already connected, but we are also going to ask if you need any further support and connect you with each other. So there's already 2 initiatives in Croatia, 2 in Finland, 2 in France, 3 in Portugal, and 5 in Spain. And last but not least, because there is, I mean, there's not a prize, but we need to move on to the EU level. This is the first, the EDSC is the first level that happens locally, but then as ECOLISE, the plan is to bring this conversation to Brussels. So if, Chiara, you could move on to the next page. So the idea is that we have a policy event in Brussels in November, where some of you have already said that they're interested to join. And we will be framing the event, we will be organizing the event, and you will be invited as speakers to share what you did in your local context. So you have already, like those who were interested have already applied, but if you have changed your mind, you can also let us know. And we're going to share more information soon about this. So all of this information, you will receive it in a toolkit. So if you have any questions at this point, it will be really useful to build the toolkit, because this is too much information, but maybe it's not too much information. So any questions, please, the floor is yours. And don't be shy.
Yeah, maybe I could stop sharing for a while so we can all go back to see each other. And we have, so I've dropped a question in the chat if there's anyone who's new to this topic of policy dialogues, because you're not part of the Regenerative Communities Fund network, maybe, just please flag it in the chat. And then we already have 2 questions for you, Kat, maybe.
Is it not important to bring residents to the event? What do you mean by residents? Residents of?
Annie, can you unmute? Maybe it's, I mean, citizen, like local citizen, not directly policymakers.
People who live here in the neighborhood. This is for you to decide, like, depends on the topic you have decided to work on, the framing, the argument, what you're working on. Residents might be affected, for example, by what is happening, by your ask, maybe motivated to advocate for what you're working on with you. So then they're important. If they don't know what you're doing, and you want them to get to know you, they also might be important. But maybe you don't, like, it's not obligatory. It's only if you decide that they're relevant. Of course, it's always important to, if you are a place-based community, to invite local residents or your neighbors to your initiatives. But in a policy dialogue, it's not obligatory to bring the residents, because if they already know you, or if they don't know you, just to be part of the policy dialogue. So it's, if you think it's added value, then yes. If you don't know them and you want them to introduce, and you want to introduce them to your initiative, then you can invite them any other day. And
yeah, there's
Davina's question on the dates.
date,
This I cannot respond.
She says, I will be away from the 18th of September, so it will likely have to be hosted in the week prior. I think, like, yes, you can host your events if there's no option for you to have the policy dialogue during the European Day of Sustainable Communities Week. Then it's better that you have it before or after than not have it at all, no? But I mean, it's good to have it on the week of the European Day of Sustainable Communities, so that there can be some momentum, and we can all share each other stories, what's going on, and on social media that can create a little bit more of engagement than if it's just any time during the year. You know what I mean? Like, but if that's not an option for you, then I'd say yes, do it anyways, if it's a little earlier or a little after.
Okay, we can also just a response to that. We can also just try to post during that week, but then we could host it the week before, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, that's a great idea. Like, if you have no other option but to do it before or after, then at least you can try to engage, saying we had this event going on last week, or like, amazing, we are preparing ours next week, or for sure. Yeah, that's good.
And about Alphonse's question, if you're expected to organize the event in coordination with your close pathfinders, You're not obliged. This is an option that we offered to coordinate you if you are interested. So you're not expected to do that. Any format opportunity to consult with you for advice? Would you like to elaborate a bit, Francois, on your question?
Hey, Katerina, how are you? And Chiara and Maria. Yeah, I guess there's a team at Oasis who's been working on this EDSC maybe for a month or two, and I think they have a pretty good idea on how it's shaping up. But I'm just curious if you have bandwidth for us and possibly, dozens of other, EDS, dozens of others, CLIs. But is it okay to reach out to you and to share what our intention is, how it's shaping up, just to have your advice? Because I understand you're really experts of, how to build, something that's logical, that is very targeted and everything, which, may not be our forte. So yeah, yeah,
Yes, of
how do you
course.
feel?
Yeah, of course. You can write to policy@ecolise.eu. It's the easiest email. You can ask any questions. And the more yes, so please reach out. We will share the toolkit, like I said. And the tips that Annie and Jan are saying about choosing the argument, we will already have some guidelines in the toolkit. But if you feel that you need more information or you're having trouble, feel free to reach out at this email. And we could also organize like an extra meeting during July if you need it.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. And I guess just to be more specific in terms of the spirit of my question, it's not like we feel that we would need to consult. I'm just thinking that just presenting to you in kind of half an hour, including the discussion, what we're aiming at, what we're organizing, and just having your spontaneous feedback can only be positive. But I don't know if you can accommodate that, or if you're just okay. People do their own things based on the best practices you share, then that's fine. And they only reach out to you if they have problems. I don't think we have problems. It's more a question of, it's always good, to have a kind of an opinion on it. Just curious.
I mean, we cannot do this with everyone. What we could do is have this dedicated time in the next community of practice where you can share and we can provide feedback. And in the meantime, you can share anything via email and we can see if there is more than one people who want to share, we can organize an extra session as well.
Sure, makes sense. Thank you.
I mean, I think there's gonna be, you said, Katerina, around 70 policy dialogues already, no? So no
Yes.
personal, but no, maybe, yeah, it cannot be very personal, all the feedback that we give as ECOLISE, but for sure the opportunity that Kat mentions on the community of practice. Do we know, Chiara, the date already?
I was
Because
typing it in the chat. Yeah, the
okay.
reminder is the 26th of August.
Okay, so
At
maybe this is a
12.
good date, and we can also even include it on this presentation when we share it. You can check that opportunity as well to bring your questions, and maybe that's more realistic. Yeah. Okay, so here I see Davina sharing this idea of maybe starting to share contacts. Can you also consult to about policymaker contacts you might have in Spain, more specifically Barcelona, Caterina?
Yeah, like I think it's can reach. I think it would be interesting, like especially for those who are looking for policy stakeholders to have like a regional or national email threads maybe. And one thing that we did last year, which I think it would be interesting to do this year as well, is that we had an Excel. And last year it was only for the 5 hubs, and this year we could do it by country. So you can see the different topics and the policy stakeholders others have identified. And we can add an extra, line about what you're looking for so that people can support you. So this can be like a one shared document. And we can share this as a follow-up to this event.
Yeah, also generally, I would say that we as ECOLISE, we are operating in all Europe, so and also at EU level. So I think for that, the national hubs are a good resource as well, no? I think Laura was also saying in the chat, for example, for the Spanish situation to check with ECORES, or so for all of the for the different countries to check with your own national hubs, and perhaps that's even better for this purpose. No? Okay. Ciao, Bisnia. So shall we jump into is there any other question before we jump to the comms part of the campaign? No? Okay, then I think, Chiara, you can come back to, thank you. Okay, so all these, in parallel with all these policy dialogues that will take place during the week of the EDSC, which is from the 21st to the 27th of September, we will be dedicating each day to two key sustainability themes, the ones that Katerina was talking about before. Because this is the 10th anniversary, we are gonna be talking about 10, there's gonna be 10 different themes. And then there's gonna be one story per theme. So we will be showcasing one story per theme. We are at the moment identifying some projects in the Regenerative Communities Fund ecosystem that we think they could very good illustrate the themes. And in the upcoming days, you'll hear from us, and we will be contacting you and see if you're up to be showcased during the European Day of Sustainable Communities Week. I think this is a wonderful opportunity, and yeah, so I hope you get excited when when I reach out to you, hopefully soon. There's also gonna be like the design of the social media campaign, and then we are planning to create a video using motion graphics and and inviting communities to join the conversation. Basically, bueno, I think, Chiara, we can go next. I think you need to, sorry, Chiara, if you can update the presentation because I made edits and I realize now that we have the old version. Sorry it's me being last minute making changes. Sorry for that. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and then the idea is that we have this 1 week that we mostly just focus basically on the EDSC campaign. Everything will be for sure on Instagram, and then we will have in the other social media platforms. It will also be alive, but on Instagram, it's just for that week. That's the only thing we will be talking about EDSC and then sharing the stories, and also asking questions on stories and harvesting conclusions from your policy dialogues, data, quotes. We will be asking for some reports so that we can also use that feed in the social media campaign. And all of these will be also compiled into a press release to be shared leading up to the Brussels event. Yeah, we can go to the next. Now I'm seeing on the chat also this question about how to share, for example, on social media tagging ECOLISE. This is actually coming next. So how we want you to engage with the campaign, with the comms campaign, is to first inform your audiences about the EDSC, to like or engage with our daily campaign posts. When we say like really like comment, or even keeping it just helps keep the reach bigger, higher. So yes, and interacting with our online content in general. Also repost on your own channels and use the hashtag EDSC26 and tag ECOLISE for us to like back and to engage with you. So here are and we will be sharing the slides, as I said, and here I'll the link to our social media platforms, and also share the video. The video will be shared earlier in September as well. There will be a dedicated EDSC page on our website, and that can already be shared at the beginning of September to create some momentum, and then the week will be full on. Also, we invite you to tag other relevant partners, local policymakers, media, influencers to expand the reach. This is kind of what we are looking for. Yeah, I'm seeing Chiara is already sharing on the chat the stories that we published last year. Last year there were 5 stories, so this year we are making double, also with your cooperation, so it's gonna be also more feasible. And you can have a look at the stories that we were doing. Okay, so next slide. Okay, just to wrap up before we open up to new questions. So the webinars today on the June 30th. Here we will add the community of practice session in August, so that it's also available for you to know that you can come back to us and ask if there's any questions. Then at the beginning of September, the launch of the EDCA video and the web page. I need to add the web page in there. The week of the 21st to the 27th of September, that's when the EDSC will happen. So we will be sharing about these 10 themes, and it's also very educational. You can also go to our social media and check on Instagram, for instance, for last year's campaign, and check also what we were doing if you want. And then in November, there's going to be the EU level dialogue in Brussels, organized by ECOLISE. Okay, so I think we are done with, well, no, first, is there any question? I think we can stop sharing screen now. Chiara, thanks so much. And
There is one in the chat.
Okay.
Guidelines.
Will there be guidelines on how we should share? Yeah. What I said before, like I think it was partially answered during the presentation, no, Davina, that you can tag us and use the hashtag, but all of this, there will be also on the, I think I can't remember now, but I think on the toolkit there was already, no, a part that's about how to engage with a campaign, with the online digital campaign, I believe.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, if not, we can make sure that it's in there, and we will be sharing the toolkit with some updates very soon, as on the same email with the follow-up, the recording, and the slides of this session. So you have it all together. Any other questions about the communications campaign, or also if there's anything about advocacy, Genevieve? No, you raised your hand. No? Okay. No questions. Okay, then I invite you to have a look at the stories that Chiara was sharing in the chat, and just take some tea and read them. Hopefully you'll get some inspiration of those amazing projects. I don't know if we were also hoping that Zola from Croatia could share a little bit his experience with the policy dialogues last year, but I think
he's on the call. He's on the call.
Just admitted him. Yeah.
Zola?
Little sign. Okay, here it is. Hi, Zola. We cannot hear you. I think now we can.
Now?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Hi, everybody. So first, sorry for saying like jump in. I was I just came to hotel in Luxembourg. Actually, also I'm here to do a bit of advocacy and lobbying for the next multi-year financial period for Croatian NGOs. So our experience from the last year organizing national policy dialogues are quite good, to be honest. As Kat mentioned, and she explained in details, the beauty of this organizational this event and organization of this event is that really you can choose what kind of method or strategy is best for you and your organizations. So last year we choose to make two events. One like open to public, in the sense that we organize a conference and gathering regarding the food sovereignty, bank seeds, and right for people to collect and use local organic old seeds. So we discussed about with the person who is involved in a working group in Croatian law about seed collecting. So we were discussing about this subject, and people were present there, and they engaged in this conversation. And the end of the session, we had a one-to-one interview with this person, and then later on we kind of summarize what was being said, and we kind of had a small summary and points for our discussion on this event. The other national policy dialogue that we did is regarding energy communities. This is my background. I've been doing this for more than 10 years now. And I choose to do a national policy dialogues directly with decision makers, meaning that in our work, we kind of we already get familiar with the decision makers on a national level, meaning the ministry, the person who is working at the ministry position, and also the state secretaries, and this, let's say, national level. But we also do a lot of work with local municipalities, and we choose to do one-to-one interview with local municipalities on Korčula Island. Actually, it's kind of it's my hometown island on the Croatian coast, because during this program that we do in Croatia regarding the clean energy for EU islands, I'm kind of organizing and supporting organizing energy cooperatives, energy communities. And we did a dialogue about energy community and how to support energy communities to have to build awareness, to have and to share skills, knowledge, and strategies and guidelines how to replicate what has been done, let's say, in the rest of the Europe, but also in the rest of the Croatia, because when you are geographically diverse, and when you're working with different parts of your country, you will see that there's not uniform awareness and possibilities of engaging with the community-led initiatives. So we kind of try to discuss about what is the particular local barriers around organizing energy communities in Croatia. To be honest, let's say my reflection on organizing energy national policy dialogues is that on one hand, you have a lot of tools and you have a lot of possibilities or organizing different kind of national policy dialogues. That's a good thing. What is, let's say, a not so easy thing to do is organizing in a very particular time frame, meaning that either you have to do it so much in advance, the planning and organization, to be able to get the decision makers in this short period, let's say short period of around 22nd of September. It's not easy always to get in contact, and that they are available at that point in time. And what else to say? The only thing is that you have to bear in mind when you are talking to politicians, in a sense, that sometimes they are not willing to talk about some topic, or they will not openly discuss about some topic in a public, and then sometimes they feel much more secure when you are talking one-to-one to them. And the other thing is that sometimes when you are doing dialogue, or when you are dealing with, let's say, policy or lobbying, or sometimes you have to talk to politicians which are not on the same level politically wise with yourself. And that can be, first, you have to have thick skin, because sometimes you will get attacked from your crowd, let's say, from your tribe, meaning that how you can discuss even with someone who is in on decision-making position, but it's not someone who you can relate to because of the values that you share. So sometimes it's not easy, but try to imagine that this person is just there because she's working this period in one mandate. Sometimes it can change, and it's not that you are talking to the whole political system. You are just talking because this person at this point of time is having the authorities to make some decision that can really influence your community where you live or in your country. So in short, in nutshell, this is my experience.
Thank you very much, Zola. Setting the bar pretty high, but like Zola said, it's not the quantity is not the goal. The importance, the level of the conversation, the type of engagement is the most important thing. So thank you very, very much.
No problem.
And I pass it back to Maria. We can't hear you, Maria.
You're okay. You cannot unmute right now.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm so sorry, but it's been happening the whole day, and I don't know why, but yeah, my internet is going down. So yeah, I couldn't unmute, but now it's fine. Sorry for that. I'm very glad, Zola, that you got to share today. I know you were traveling and it was a bit of a struggle. But it's very important for everyone else to see, you know, like what was someone else's experience last year, and obviously, like, that's, yeah. Is there anything else at this point? We've finished the presentation, so I would say, like, if there's any other questions or, you know, any reflections or anything that you want to share, ask before we wrap up. If not, I'll hand it over to Chiara, because she's prepared a little survey that we will kindly ask you to answer. It just takes what, Chiara? 5 minutes?
Yeah, no, even less, like 3 minutes, I promise. And yeah, well, I get the link to it, I just wanted to flag also that I shared in the chat the link to a story written about the policy dialogue organized by ECOLISE in Spain last year. So you want to read about, another experience from another national hub, you can also find the story there. And okay, here is the link. So this survey that I've just shared in the chat is a feedback survey that would help us to track the impact of the project and also to receive feedback specifically on this webinar. There is part more like focused on ratings, where you just need to give a rate, and then also an open section at the end if you want to add anything else. And we would really appreciate your contribution to this. It's very important for us. And yeah, it really lasts like 3 minutes probably.
Thank you, Chiara. Okay, in the meantime, while you answer to the survey, again, if there's anything, just we'll be staying here for another 5 minutes. So.
Exactly. And I can also maybe share again just the final slide where we had emails to like contact details in case you want to save them as well. We will send a follow-up email for this webinar with all the key info.
I also know the event was meant.
Sorry, Maria, you froze a bit.
I think there was delay. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Okay. Maybe we can, go back to. Yeah, just a short recap. I mean, you already shared all of this, Maria, but so the dates for the EDSC are from the 21st to the 27th of September this year. And then in November, the policy dialogue in Brussels. And here are the email addresses from Caterina and Maria, key speakers from today, in case you have any questions specifically, either on the policy dialogue aspect to Caterina or on the comms and campaign aspect to Maria.
Chiara, if you're sharing the slides now, maybe we can also add here the date for the community of practice. So that's August
26th.
26th. Okay.
11, yeah.
That's the RCF ecosystems community of practice, right?
Exactly.
Okay, just to flag it as an opportunity as well to bring questions or.
Yeah, indeed. And I also already see that some people submitted the feedback. Thank you, confirming in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your stories, help, and words. We will meet locally in Finnish tomorrow on this topic. Beautiful. Thank you so much. We are very excited because this year there's so many communities being part of the Green Earth Communities Fund. Also, additional to the usual ECOLISE network that we hope we can really, we are looking forward for this year EDSC, also being the 10th anniversary. We'll see where we get.
Exactly. And we also aim actually to map these efforts and these events happening. So we will also have a visual image, how big it is this year. And we will have this map on our website also for people to see what's happening, where and when. So we will be asking for more details for your events in the upcoming weeks and months.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. That's going to be on the EDSC webpage, and you'll be able to check when all the policy dialogues will be happening and where and by what organization. So you can also, know what's going on in other places. I don't know if there will be are there going to be any that will be online or public or not really, or that's not going to be the case in case someone would want to join online policy dialogues, or that's not gonna, in principle, that's not gonna happen, no?
So far, we don't have any online dialogues, which I think is positive.
Yeah? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's up to the organizers to decide the format.
Who would like to stay? Yeah, well, maybe if there's no other question that maybe came up in the last few minutes, we can also wrap up.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah.
Okay, so we can stop sharing, Chiara, and see.
Sorry.
Yeah. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. And again, see you in August. I won't be there, but Kat will, and Chiara. No, Chiara will not, no?
No, unfortunately, I won't be there in August, but Kat will be there. And yeah, we keep in touch anyway.
Exactly. We also have our emails if you need anything from us. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.